what's up? It's Matea Babcock, and I'm here today with Remy, and it's his first time being saddled, and I'm just going to give you a few tips for saddling a colt for the first time and some safety things that you should be aware of, and how to make it a successful experience for your young horse.
So the first thing I'm doing here is I'm just letting him sniff it. And then what I like to do is swing the pad up and walk away from my horse. Anytime you're looking to build confidence with your horse, take that thing away from your horse. And that'll build your horse's curiosity and help him to gain more confidence. Curiosity is a really good thing with your young horses. Never knock that out of a young horse. That's a good thing. So I'm just rubbing the pad all over him. Sometimes I like to leave the pad closed when I first do this, just in case they're worried about it. I like to make sure that I have the pad all on the same side as me, and then I'll progressively open up the pad and get them comfortable with that. And then, as you can tell, he's pretty nonchalant with this. Just kind of rubbing it all over him. I'll take it up by his neck, down by his butt, everywhere. And as I'm approaching here, he kind of wanted to block me there, so I just put my hand up to block him so that he didn't bring his head and neck over me. And I'll do the same thing on this side. And now one thing I do want to mention is, saddles are heavy, so any kind of prep work you can do with the saddle pad is always beneficial. So even him approaching me, just having my horse stand still and be able to approach them and put on that pad, swing up that pad, and, I'll start really soft with it, and then I'll kind of, flop it around and get them used to that. I don't want to be too careful with my horse because I want to build them up to being used to human error and human mistakes, because that's going to happen. Pad's going to fall on the ground, all that kind of stuff. So you want to get your horse to where they are comfortable with all that. And that time he let me walk in and just swing the pad up, and that's what I was looking for. So now I've grabbed my saddle, put my pad on, and I'm just gonna swing my saddle up on there. He put his head up a little bit, but overall I really can't complain. He's pretty comfortable with that. But I like to do it a few times just to double check and make sure that they're comfortable with it. Now, if they didn't stand still for this, I would do some more confidence building and a lot more swinging the saddle and pad up onto their back until they're comfortable with it. If your horse can't stand still like Remy is here, then I would not tie the saddle down yet. I'd get them really comfortable with that. And as I'm doing this, I always keep an eye on my saddle. If my horse does go to spook or something, I will pull that saddle off towards me so that they spook away from me and not onto me. So I'm always very conscious of where my saddle is. And as I reach under here, always reach under with your left hand. So that way, if your horse pushes into you or spooks, it kind of pushes you back into a power stance and you don't fall on your butt. And I try to get my saddle as tight as possible. That's different for every saddle, but I try to make a couple loops around and then tie it off really good, so that if they do go to buck, I don't have to worry about my saddle coming off. and I'm always keeping an eye on my horse's eye. That will tell me whether he's good to go or he's a little bit worried and I need to be more cautious of how I'm approaching things. Another thing I love doing with my colts is I make the back cinch really, really tight. I don't know about you, but I like to not have to worry about how tight my back cinch is with my horse. So I get them used to a tight back cinch from the start. And I like to send my horse off from that position just so they can't buck over me, hopefully. It always can happen. And ideally, I like to have my stick in my hand, but I didn't in this video. But most of the time, I like to put it in my armpit so that way, if I'm cinching my horse up and all of a sudden they go to bucking, I can get out of there and I have a stick to kind of defend my space. And Remy did really well taking the saddle. He didn't do anything exciting, unfortunately for the viewers of this video. But even if he did buck, I would just send him forward and get him forward. Bucking is just brace, and it's your horse going up instead of forward. So I like to get him really nice and forward on the ground. See me do lots of cantering and that type of thing. Now, if they go to buck in my second session, the second time I go to saddle them, I will disengage them and try to break that pattern. But for the first time, the saddle's new. My goal is just to get them comfortable with it and allow them to wear it. So it's very normal for horses to buck with the saddle for the first time. So as he's going around here, you may have noticed his ears are back. So even though he's not bucking, he is worried. So that was my main thing working on with him here, was to get him more relaxed with this. He's fairly accepting of it overall for a first time, but I want him relaxed with it. And as you can see, his trot is getting more rhythmic, more relaxed, and that's really what I'm looking for. And that's why I brought him in there. And this is kind of the end. He was doing really, really nice, picking up that canter more confidently, which is a big deal for him, and stretching and putting his head down. That's the ultimate sign of relaxation right there. So very pleased with this session. Press like, press subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos on colt starting.